has to be, and who knows, or could be laundering fentanyl money. I mean, the amounts are huge. And the former director of the CIA, James Woolsey, was on the board. And advisors to the casino included former FBI Director Louis Freeh, former Louisiana Governor Haley Barbour, former Pennsylvania Governor Ed Rendell.
They're working for this Chinese casino.
They were advisors.
Well, so this is interesting because didn't the FBI start an investigation into one of these casinos? But there's an FBI guy on the board.
Yeah, so that picture that you saw of the palace.
Oh, the children worshipping dolphin gods.
So they were building that, and one of the workers fell off the scaffolding and died. Turned out he was not there on a work visa. And so the Department of Labor got involved and did an investigation, and the FBI got involved and took documents from the casino and raided the governor, Governor Ralph Torres, and took tons and tons and tons of documents. And in July of 2025, the FBI closed the case.
So that just happened.
That just happened, and there have been, in between then and now, a whole range of very unusual things. Two of the FBI agents who worked in the Commonwealth of Northern Mariana Islands subsequently left the Commonwealth of Northern Mariana Islands and ended up being associated in various different ways with that former governor, Ralph Torres. Additionally, they have been consistently, the woman that now Commonwealth of Northern Mariana Islands has a representative in the U.S. Congress. Her name is Kimberly King Hines. Previously, she worked for the Commonwealth Ports Authority, and that Commonwealth Ports Authority approved another Chinese casino setting up on the dual-use harbor in Tinian, which is where the U.S. is now rebuilding those old World War II runways at the cost of several $100 million. Her platform in Congress, since she was elected in this last session, has consistently been to increase access for Chinese into the Commonwealth of Northern Mariana Islands, to preserve their visa-free entry status and to lift the caps on direct flights from China into the Commonwealth of Northern Mariana Islands. These Chinese that are coming in, many are tourists, but the woman that ran the Bureau of Motor Vehicles in 2023 was convicted, along with a Chinese national, of selling U.S. driver's licenses to Chinese with no immigration status, no legal immigration status. By the hundreds, Chinese have been found illegally getting on boats and going to nearby Guam, where some have been found on the military bases. There's been a drug trafficking, bribery. The situation is very bad. And just to tie former Governor Torres, just to explain the linkages, former Governor Torres's former chief of staff was the legislative director for Kimberly King Hines, the current representative of CNMI to Congress. That man has just been announced as the Deputy Assistant Secretary for Insular Affairs at the Department of Interior. So the current Deputy Assistant Secretary for Insular and International Affairs at the Department of Interior, which has oversight over the region, was the former Chief of Staff to Governor Torres, who the FBI just closed the investigation into, and was the governor that oversaw this massive buildup of the Chinese casino in Saipan. And he was also the legislative director for the representative of the CNMI to Congress, whose main agenda has been to push for more Chinese access into the Commonwealth of Northern Mariana Islands.
I feel like there's more to investigate.
So now I'd like to, if you don't mind, talk about the man who was until a few days ago the governor of the Commonwealth of current governor of the Commonwealth of Northern Mariana Islands. Arnold Palacios died suddenly just a few days ago. He was the sitting governor of the Commonwealth of Northern Mariana Islands. He was a man of incredible courage who consistently begged publicly, including in congressional testimony, and most recently, as far as I know, in a letter in April, for the FBI to come in and investigate what was going on in CNMI. He also asked Treasury. He offered to open up all the books. This is I've never heard of a governor saying, "Come and investigate." And in the letter that he wrote in April, he specifically asked for, and this is the quote, "intensive investigations of public corruption in the Commonwealth of Northern Mariana Islands." This is the governor. And he said in that letter, "We have evidence we want to give you." They did not trust what was going on locally. They wanted to give it directly to the main office of the FBI.
And this guy just suddenly and mysteriously died a few days ago, you say?
I don't know if it's mysteriously, but he suddenly died. He fell sick in his office. It took about 5 hours. I mean, there's a lot that needs to be looked into. Obviously, there's a lot that needs to be looked into about that, what happened. Including, there was a major U.S. military exercise going on in Saipan. There were assets on the ground just down the road from the hospital where he was. It took about 5 hours to get him a helicopter, the 40 minutes to Guam. The problem, it's not clear where it was. DOD, it needs to be looked at. There are just way more questions than there should be about what happened. But I knew him. I knew him personally. I interviewed him. And I know that what he would want is what he fought for and literally put his life on the line for, which was an investigation at the federal level, which doesn't involve anybody locally, which jumps over all of the local networks, into what was going on in the Commonwealth of Northern Mariana Islands. He put his life on his line for the people of the Commonwealth of Northern Mariana Islands and U.S. security, national security. And he was very clear in his congressional testimony that Chinese influence was trying to undermine U.S. security and was seeing CNMI as a soft entry point in order to do that. And he asked for help for himself, not personally, but for the CNMI and for U.S. national security, loudly, repeatedly, courageously, and eloquently. So yes, the death definitely needs to be investigated, including all the circumstances around the transfer. It may just have been cross lines, but what he would have wanted was top-level investigation into what's happening for the past decades, because now the wolves are circling. I mean, his staff was told to clean out his office in 12 hours after he died. His staff was told, clean out the office, the new team is moving in.
It's certainly very convenient for China. Was there any autopsy done?
So I'm not sure. This happened very recently. I'm not sure when this will be broadcast. I'm not sure, but for the sake, I hope so. This happened in Guam, not in CNMI. Nobody would have trusted an investigation or an autopsy in CNMI. And just to give you another sense, I talked about the congresswoman from CNMI who is pushing for more Chinese access into CNMI. Her husband is the chief prosecutor of CNMI. Her brother, now that the governor has died, the lieutenant governor becomes governor, the president of the Senate becomes lieutenant governor, and her brother now becomes the president of the Senate.
It's so convenient for some people.
There shouldn't be any questions. I don't know if there was anything wrong that happened. I don't know whether it was natural causes and everybody worked as quickly as they could and as most efficiently as they could to do the transfer. I don't know any of that. I do know what the governor himself said repeatedly is there's serious problems within CNMI that are affecting the daily lives of the people of CNMI and U.S. national security at a very critical level. And I can also tell you, the people I know in CNMI who have been fighting for to keep the Chinese out and to preserve their society and culture are going to ground. They are scared. No matter what happened to the governor, the word is out on the street, that the Chinese can knock off a sitting U.S. governor and nothing will happen.
That's the word that's going around.
So first of all, that what happened needs to be investigated. But second of all, the message now needs to be the U.S. is going to clean up CNMI, and there will be no room for Chinese operatives who are trying to destroy the territory and undermine U.S. security. You can change the narrative, but right now the narrative is very much causing an intense personal fear in the people who are willing to try to stand up beforehand.
I mean, that's wild. You say historically there was so much focus on this region of the Pacific as being important to the security of the United States. Japan seized control of a lot of it and used it against the United States. And now American interest has waned. China knows the history
and the geography.
And the geography. They're trying to take it over, and the U.S. is letting it happen.
Yeah, and I'd just like to make it clear. A sitting American governor was begging the FBI, Treasury, and anybody else he could to come in and investigate his territory because he was concerned that the public corruption was affecting U.S. national security. And not only was nothing done, at the beginning of July, the FBI closed the investigation that included all of the documents that they had taken out of that casino, Chinese casino, that was possibly laundering billions of dollars.
Thank you for watching. I urge you to reach out to your elected officials and the media and tell them to investigate Chinese influence in the U.S. territory of Saipan. And if you want to dig deeper, I invite you to watch the entire hour-long podcast. Go to ChinaUncensored.tv, and I'll see you there.